with Conte gone, we've got Stellini and Mason in charge for the rest of the season. After the football that we did show on Monday night at Everton, the question is, should we stick with Stellini now for the rest of the season, or should we be looking for another interim to be coming in from now to the end of the season? I mean, I'm looking at it, and I know I said otherwise when we were appointing Stellini, but my mind is completely clear now, and my mind is saying that if you're going to sack Conte, and if the players are going to complain about his football, why the hell do you bring in his number 2 that is going to play the exact same football just to a lesser level? We'll start with you, Ariane.
Yeah, I mean, you said it, I said it in the post-match press conference. It makes no sense to bring a less experienced Conte to replace Conte. It's just, the tactics will be no different. The methods will be no different. The solutions will be worse at best. I don't understand the only thing I could only imagine is if Conte just went around hitting all these players and saying you're all shit, and Stellini was just a little nice guy, good cop, bad cop kind of situation, right? That's the only thing, and I know that's not what happened. So it's a PR move, is what it is, to all the fans. Oh, look, Conte's gone, and I think I'm the only one here who was happy to really genuinely see Conte go. And I'm completely dissatisfied because it's a stupid thing to do, to bring Conte out and say, all right, cool, let's change nothing for the next 10 games. And we won't, by the way. Like, even if Nagelsmann knocks on our door tomorrow, we're going to do our due diligence and wait so we don't have to pay Bayern as much compensation, probably.
But forget Nagelsmann for a second. I'm not talking about Nagelsmann. I'm talking about someone like Ryan Mason. I mean, would you take Ryan Mason from now to the end of the season? Because I would.
I would take you over Stellini, dude. Let alone Ryan Mason. So,
my football manager CV is unmatched.
We know.
Of course, I've seen enough FIFA career mode. I'm convinced. I've seen enough Ben Simeone.
No, you don't need to see that football manager. You need to get football manager 6 years in a row, Champions League winner.
Oh my God, I wish. Generally, the Stellini appointment was so stupid. It was so, I don't understand any logic behind it. To appoint Conte's number 2, same tactics, same football, same methods, same training, same everything. If the players are so sick of the training and the methods of the football, why not change them? You're just changing the guy who has more experience on how to fix problems. You have Conte, who's had these problems. He was almost sacked after his first year at Inter Milan. He was in the same situation he was at Spurs at Inter Milan after his first year. I don't know if anyone knows. And he fixed it. And so you're going to sack him before he can fix it. This is a guy who knows at least how to fix it. I trust him more than I trust Stellini.
Yeah. What kind? Doesn't it send the message?
Do we expect anything more, though?
You're keeping his whole backroom staff around. You're keeping his assistant manager in, and you're sacking the manager. So you're implying, like, what do we need a manager for? Just keep the whole system there. We don't need a manager. We don't need the manager. We'll just keep the whole backroom staff, and everything will be fine. Don't worry. We don't have Conte, but we've got Conte's system. Ridiculous. Jory, what's your take on this one?
Well, I think you're underestimating the real issue here. Levy is fucking sinking. The amount of issues that he needs to deal with right away, the amount of fires he needs to put out, it has never been more, in my view. And simply just being able to send the Italians offering to stay and do the job is simply leave it. Just all right. That's I can now try and focus on these things here. Getting a new manager, getting a women's manager, getting somebody to do the sporting directions, and Kane's contract. You name it. The potential investments that's supposed to come in and whatever is on. So I think it's just scrambling, headless reaction. That being said, I feel sorry for Stellini to be in this role. I think he's made a little bit of a mistake of actually accepting it. But I think because I think Stellini will eventually turn it. Like, I'm sure we'll see him do fine things in the Italian league at some point or whatever. For me, Mason, you're solidifying everything that's wrong in Spurs. It's all about the maidism and the cozy talks in the cantina and so on, So I never want to see Mason. I basically just think it's a question of damage control out the season. I do think that Levy is completely delusional, stupid, to be honest, if he thinks he has a chance at top 4 and letting Conte go. Even with all the animosity and whatever, with our only chance at top 4, no new manager, no Nagelsmann, nothing like that. And forget all these names, nothing. Nuno will be a luxury that we can't afford after this. The only thing I see is maybe Levy bribing a Brendan Rodgers or something like that. And that's it. Nobody with any ambition in football is going to touch this club now the next couple of years. That's my prediction here and now. You can put money on it. But yeah, for me, it's just about getting to that end of the season with the least amount of damage. If, like I said, if Levy thought he had any chance of top 4 without Conte, it's yet another testament to his ignorance around the football. For me, I don't particularly care about top 4. I know even with Champions League football, we won't attract whatever Nagelsmann. I see 2 names maybe. Brendan Rodgers and Potter is like the 2 names that I could see would take that bribe. Potter is really, really hurt. His brand is really in a bad place right now. So I see him maybe catching or grabbing onto that. And Brendan Rodgers, I see it wouldn't be the worst fit from his point of view. I mean, for us, I think it's going backward by quite a lot. Not that I don't rate Brendan. I don't rate him. I don't not rate him. I just think he's almost like a Premier League type fixture. You're not going up or down. You're just basically status quo type appointment, I would say. But I would say in terms of Stellini and Ryan Mason, it's like the thing that's going to happen now, guys. It's like the every time they capitulate like they did against Everton and Southampton, for each time the squad does that, they will become more self-conscious. They will be quicker to do it. It will be more catastrophic. They will have less kind of fighting spirit to try and resist that, And I do see that now, rather than Stellini actually, shouting some steel into them, it's going to be the other way around. I think the squad is going to erode Stellini's natural confidence, and Ryan Mason, he's a part of that squad culture anyway, so he's not going to add or subtract anything from it, So yeah, I completely agree with Arian. It's an awful situation. I do agree. What's the point of letting Conte go and keeping everything that is Conte without his direction? You can only hope for. It's only going to be less, as a simple logical equation. Having a Conte squad staff without Conte is less than having one with Conte. So
yeah,
that's an obvious thing, So, but I do think that our club in the boardroom is in such crisis that Levy is just trying to get through every day right now, and this is one of the ways of solving a huge issue for him. Otherwise, he's got everything in place, and we can keep rolling. But it will snowball before the season's over. I'm sure of that. So,
all right. Any more comments on that one, or shall we move on?
Yeah, no, I just want to say I agree with the guys that I don't see the point if the players are not on board with how Stellini wants to play. I don't see the point in moving forward with it and continuing in that way. If they want a fresh approach, then have a point of fresh approach. There's no point in everyone being sick of Conte and the way he plays. And apparently, players were on their hands and knees begging him to let the shackles off and playing attacking football, and then sacking him and just putting a guy who helped Conte devise the plan in charge. It doesn't make any sense to me. You might as well go just really fresh, and someone like Mason, who to at least play attacking football. And look, I think you can kiss top four goodbye anyway, so there's no point. At least Conte, with his mentality, despite the fact that the player, you know, he was alienating the players and all this kind of stuff, at least we know even this season we saw it. As much as the football was bad and all that kind of stuff, he was still getting results. He was still getting, was still in the top four. I mean, yeah. Whatever you want to say about it, he was still getting, he was getting performances, but he was still able to get results. And whether, you know, and once
and that's what differentiates the boys from the men, you know, is exactly that. He gets
and once, look, if you're going to sack him with no plan in place of someone to come in, then you're kissing top four goodbye anyway. So you might as well just bring in a completely fresh approach and a new way of playing, rather than continuing with the old quote stale way of playing that the players aren't on board with. It doesn't make sense anymore. But it's a weird thing though at the moment. Like in the Premier League, there does seem to be this tendency right now to at the most crucial part in the season with 10 games to go. I think I can count in the Premier League around 7 clubs who've opted to go with an interim manager for the last most important part of the season, rather than stick with the manager who they've been trusting with for most of the season. You got Southampton, Leicester, Bournemouth, Palace, Leeds, Chelsea and Spurs all going with interim managers pretty much from now to the end of the season, and it's like a pretty crazy scenario. I don't know why it's like nearly half the Premier League have decided to do this. Obviously, that everyone's going for that new manager bounce, but
it's the interim epidemic.
Yeah, it really is. There's never been a better time to be an interim manager than right now in the Premier League. But
what a time to be an interim!
Unbelievable. But it's pretty crazy. I wonder what is causing this. Like, it does seem specific to this season, doesn't it? This interim epidemic.
Well, it's a record, isn't it? Premier League record that no more managers have lost their job ever in a Premier League season than this.
Yeah,
season.
but has there ever been a case like this season where so many clubs are just sacking without a plan in terms of appointing new managers?
I think it is a bit of, like you said, it is a bit of the boards just rolling the dice, you know. Let's see if we can get a bit of a bounce and get some extra point that way, you know. But more often than not, that will backfire badly, you know. So, yeah, it's weird. I agree. It's very weird.
Ariane, did you want to say something?
No, I think I was just going to say, like, as someone who wanted Conte out, right, I didn't want to make what Conte had worse. I wanted literally the whole thing out, right? So it just doesn't make sense. Like, you have something that I don't like. And I want something different. Don't give me the same thing but worse. That's ridiculous. If you're like, let's say I have like an Android phone and I have like a Samsung, like, I don't know what Samsung are we on, 20, right? Yeah. And I don't want a Samsung 10. I want an iPhone. Right? Course, you know what I mean? Like, it's I don't understand like the way we're approaching it. It's
for me also.
People were running for 20 years and they can't.
Basically, what we just done is we've just bought a really expensive Armani jacket, we've returned it, and then bought the alternative from Wish. That's what we've just done.
Yeah.
And Stellini can't manage those last 20 minutes. As much as the players need to take responsibility to how he played at Everton, if Stellini can't manage that situation, calm the players down, get them composed, and get them to see out that kind of game, then how is he ever going to be able to get us to where we want to for the last 10 games? How is he ever going to ride the players?
And for me, one of the worst things, actually, guys, is like someone that's been in the let's wake up fans camp, you know, like we can't get anywhere without dealing with the Levy issue kind of approach. For me, it's really awful because now the narrative becomes, well, it's still Conte football. We can still deflect from the squad, from the players, from the culture, from the board, you know, which is it always amazes me how the manager out crowd can find new ways of deflecting from this freaking issue that I think all of us here understands that at minimum it needs to be addressed on the same level that manager and squad needs to be addressed. For me, it needs to be addressed more than anything else, you know. But so and I'm seeing it on Twitter. I'm hearing pundits saying, well, it's just Conte, again, and it's still, they haven't gotten rid of Conte really, and so on, So, which I also feel is disrespectful for Stellini, because Stellini and Conte football in general is not something that's very specific. It's very Italian football. So we shouldn't be surprised about it. Conte is just a master of Italian football. Stellini, of course, will be Italian football. He's spent his whole life in Italian football. Of course, he's going to be Italian football. He's not going to all of a sudden go into like gegenpress or whatever, you might be hoping for. That's not the person he is, So at least we can all agree on this is a half-assed approach once again, and it's not serving anybody. It's not making anybody happy. So, yeah.
Yeah, precisely.